So we live in a realm called space-time. And in this three-dimensional reality in space-time, there's an infinite amount of space. Space is eternal, right? There's an infinite amount of space. And if I'm local as a piece of material flesh and matter, local in an environment and time, or local in space and time, and I'm here and I want to walk to my hotel, I have one point of awareness, I'm aware that I'm here, and then I have another point of awareness, which is my hotel. And that's somewhere out there. So I have to move my body through space, and when I collapse space, when I move through space, I experience time. So time is the result of moving through space, right? And it's kind of the realm of Newtonian physics, the realm of the predictable, because we can fly from London to Los Angeles or San Diego. You know exactly how long it's going to take as long as you know the distance and the speed, right? So the world of Newtonian physics is the world of the predictable. So then if you're living by the hormones of stress, and stress causes you to put all of your attention on your body, when you're being chased by T-Rex, the arousal of the stress hormones causes you to put more of attention on your body. You're looking in your environment. Your attention is on your environment because that's where the danger is. And you're thinking about how much time you have to get there. So if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all of your attention is on your body, is now localized in three-dimensional reality, you got to play by the rules of Newtonian physics. So you got to work hard to get everything you want. So then our research shows that when you take your attention off your body, all of your attention off your body, and you go from a somebody to a nobody. You take your attention off all the people in your life. Not that you have to stop relating with them, but you got to get beyond them, and you go from a someone to a no one because you're no longer identifying with anyone. You take your attention off of everything in your life, your cell phone, your computer, your car, and you go from something to nothing. You take all of your attention off where you're sitting, where you sleep, where you live, where you work, and you go from somewhere to nowhere. And you're not thinking about the familiar past or the predictable future. You're going to go from some time to no time. If you're taking all of your attention off this three-dimensional reality, then where you place your attention is where you place your energy. If you're not your body, if you're not the people in your life, you're not the objects or things or places or time itself, what are you? You're pure consciousness. So you teach people then that moment of getting beyond yourself is disinvesting all of your attention and energy out of everything known in your three-dimensional reality. What is going to happen to the mechanism here called your neocortex? You're going to begin to slow your brain waves down because you're not analyzing and thinking about any of those people or objects or things. And as you do that, your brain waves change from beta, which is the arousal of your attention on the environment and on your body and time. You begin to slow your brain waves down into alpha. Now, at the same time, we teach people how to take their attention off of everything material and from a narrow focus on the material world and begin to go from a convergent focus to a divergent focus, to open their awareness, the act of creating what's called a broad focus or an open focus. As you sense space, you don't analyze and think. Well, as you're no longer analyzing and thinking, you're no longer activating those circuits in your brain, and now you start seeing the brain move into alpha, but not any kind of alpha, a very coherent type of alpha. Now the brain starts to synchronize. The front of the brain starts resonating with the back of the brain. The right side of the brain and neural networks communities begin to resonate with neurons on the opposite side, and you start seeing the psychic union between two hemispheres. Some people do it so well that they slip into this realm called theta, coherent theta brainwaves. Now, this mechanism, the home of your identity, the seat of the known self, the memory bank of your past identity, the autobiographical self, lights go out in theta. And the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind open, wide open. And now you're in the eternal present moment. What is the greatest ideal of myself that I want to present to the world today? And you sat there and you changed your state of being until you worked, until you were that person. You would have to forget about the people in your life, the things that you have to do, the things you own, the places you have to go at different times, and all the experiences in your life that reaffirm your identity. you would have to get beyond yourself in that moment. And when you become conscious of your unconscious self, you are less likely to be controlled because you're no longer being manipulated emotionally. So you can manipulate people with fear. You can manipulate people with need. You can manipulate people with lack. You can cause people to consume because they don't look a certain way. And so this indoctrination into this idea that you can rely on something outside of you to make you feel better is the exact way you control a culture. When you begin to transmute those survival emotions into elevated states, and the joy and the love for life is within you, you're more awake, and when everybody's looking one way, you're looking the other way, and you're no longer manipulated by fear. I mean, I went to an event in Santiago, there was 1,000 people in my audience, and half the people were wearing masks because of the flu, the avian flu. And I just said, you cannot believe that to be the truth. It's just not that way.
Right.
So you produce something in the marketplace that creates a little fear, that people think they have free will. They don't have free will. You think, oh, I'm going to choose Bayer instead of Excedrin. That's not free will. That's making choices based on knowns.
Right.
Free-willed individuals, genius, someone who steps outside a convention and who's willing to stay outside of convention until they produce an effect, and they go from being foolhardy and insane to becoming a mystic or a saint. But there's enough people in this world now that are beginning to wake up and see through the deceit and the greed and the competition that that is not the model that's going to sustain a culture, because no organisms in nature survive in competition.
No.
They survive when they cooperate and they work together. And it's a time, this is a nodal point for us to begin to wake up. And so back to the original idea, we have to demonstrate that in every area of our life. And if you're changing you and I'm changing me and I'm giving up resentment and hatred and you're giving up jealousy and envy, and you're no longer in the fabric of your being, and people are noticing those changes, imagine the effects it has in the world. But we're not waiting for a Gandhi or a Martin Luther King or a Joan of Arc. This is the time when you and I, the simple person, has to be able to demonstrate it. And science is the language to really demystify it, and that's what unifies the culture and tradition and religion, because the moment you start talking about tradition or culture or religion, you begin to separate your audience. Science has become the contemporary language. In my house, with my kids who were growing up, here's the rule. We had 5 seconds. If I asked you a question and you couldn't respond in 5 seconds, then you were addicted, game over. But when you're killing somebody or shooting somebody or blowing somebody up or whatever it is, there's a release of dopamine in the brain. It's a pleasure chemical. And when you squirt out all that chemistry and norepinephrine, and you keep doing it, the receptor sites on the outside of the cells become desensitized. So the next time you play, they need a little bit more to turn them on. And so the pleasure centers in the brain start recalibrating to a higher level, and now you're addicted because you cannot get the same rush as you did the day before.